The rain had been falling in heavy, unrelenting sheets, drowning the city's lights into a blurred mosaic. Adam Hale, carrying a grocery bag in one hand and an umbrella in the other, was halfway across the narrow bridge that led home when he saw her. A small figure, no more than 13, standing barefoot in the downpour, hair plastered to her face, clutching a worn satchel to her chest as if it were the only thing tethering her to the earth. She didn't look up when he approached, but he could see her shoulders trembling, not from the cold, but from something deeper. "Are you all right?" His voice was careful, as though speaking too loudly might shatter her. Her head tilted slightly, enough for him to see pale, wide eyes in the dim light. I don't have anywhere to go." Adam glanced over his shoulder. No one else was on the bridge. The streets beyond were silent, except for the rain. He hesitated. Life as a single father had taught him caution, but something in her voice, in the way she clutched that bag, pushed the hesitation aside. "My place is just down the road," he said. "It's warm. You can dry off." She didn't move at first, as though weighing the danger of trusting a stranger against the danger of staying here. Then, with the smallest nod, she followed him. Inside, the house smelled faintly of cinnamon from the tea Adam had brewed that morning. His 6-year-old daughter, Emily, peeked out from behind the living room door, curiosity in her eyes. Adam smiled faintly at her. "It's okay, Em. This is—" He realized he didn't even know the girl's name. The girl's lips parted. "Lena." Emily stepped forward, offering the girl a towel. Lena took it, murmuring a thank you so quiet it was almost lost under the sound of the rain on the roof. They sat together in the kitchen. Adam made her tea, watching her from the corner of his eye. She didn't drink at first, only stared at the steam curling upward as though mesmerized. Her satchel never left her grip. "What's in the bag?" Emily asked innocently. Lena's fingers tightened around it. "It's important." Adam noticed then. Beneath the dirt on her face, she was striking. There was something about her posture, her gaze, that felt out of place for a girl her age. Like she'd been taught to watch the world, not simply be in it. "Where are your parents, Lena?" Adam asked gently. She froze, the steam from her tea curling between them. "I can't go back." Before Adam could press further, a sound broke the night, the distant thrum of helicopter blades. It was faint at first, but growing louder, closer. Emily ran to the window, peering out. Lena's face drained of color. "They found me." Adam's brows knitted. "Who?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "My father's men." The rain outside suddenly seemed heavier. A black vehicle rolled slowly down the street, its headlights sweeping over the houses like a predator's gaze. Adam's gut tightened. Whoever she was running from, they weren't ordinary people. And Lena, she wasn't an ordinary girl. The black vehicle slowed as it passed his house, its tinted windows hiding whoever sat inside. Adam felt his chest tighten with an instinctive unease. He wasn't a man who liked trouble. He'd had enough of it in the years after Emily's mother died, but trouble had a way of finding him regardless. Lena moved away from the window, her grip on the satchel so tight her knuckles turned white. Adam could see her mind racing behind those pale eyes, calculating, anticipating. "Lena," he said quietly, crouching so he could look her in the eye. "Who exactly are these people?" She shook her head. "If I tell you, you'll try to make me go back. Not if it's somewhere you don't want to be." His voice was steady, though a faint tremor of concern rippled underneath. The helicopter sound grew louder, the thudding blades chopping through the night air like an impatient heartbeat. The black car stopped 2 houses down. 2 men in dark suits stepped out, scanning the street. They weren't police, no badges, no radios, just a cold efficiency in their movements that made Adam's skin crawl. Emily tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, who are they?" Adam's mind was already working. He had to keep both girls safe. He turned to Emily. "Go upstairs, sweetheart. Take Lena with you. Stay in your room and keep quiet." Lena hesitated, her eyes darting toward the sound outside, then back to Adam. "You don't understand. If they see me here, you could get hurt." Adam forced a faint smile. "Then it's a good thing I'm used to trouble." He didn't know why he said it. Maybe because Emily was watching him, maybe because Lena looked so breakable and terrified. But the moment the words left his mouth, he meant them. The 2 girls slipped quietly up the stairs. Adam moved to the front window, careful to stay out of direct view. The men were speaking into earpieces, their eyes sweeping the houses like they were hunting something valuable or someone irreplaceable. The pounding in his ears wasn't from fear. It was from questions. Who is this girl? Why did men in expensive suits and a helicopter care so much about her? A soft sound behind him made him turn. Lena stood halfway down the stairs, her satchel slung over her shoulder again. She'd ignored his instructions. "They won't leave without me," she whispered. "And if they think you're hiding me, then they'll have to think again." She stared at him, something unreadable flickering in her eyes. "You don't even know who I am." "True," Adam said. "But I know you're scared, you're cold, and you're not ready to go back to whoever those people are. That's enough for me tonight." Her lips parted slightly, as though she wanted to say something, but the words never came. Outside, the men began walking toward the house next door. Adam's mind leapt ahead. If they were going door to door, they'd be here in less than a minute. He turned to Lena. "Basement," he said. "Now." She hesitated only for a second before following him to the kitchen, where he opened the door to the narrow, dim stairwell leading down. The basement smelled faintly of concrete and dust, with an old workbench pushed against one wall and boxes stacked in uneven towers. Adam gestured to a space behind the boxes. "Stay there, no matter what you hear." She looked like she wanted to argue, but instead she slipped into the shadows. Adam pulled an old blanket over the stack to make it look untouched, then headed back upstairs. A sharp knock came at the door. Adam opened it halfway. The two men stood there, reins still clinging to their coats, eyes sharp and searching. One of them spoke first. "Evening. We're looking for a girl. About 13. Dark hair. Seen anyone?" Adam kept his expression neutral. "No one like that here. Just me and my daughter." The man's gaze drifted past Adam into the house, lingering on the hallway and the faint light from the living room. "Mind if we take a look?" "Actually, I do." Adam's voice was calm, but unyielding. "Unless you've got a warrant or a badge, you're not stepping inside." The men exchanged a glance. "It's in your best interest to cooperate. This girl is important." "I'm sure she is," Adam said, his grip tightening on the door. "But this is my home. You're not coming in." The silence stretched for a moment before one of them gave a small, tight smile. "If you see her, let us know. For your own sake." Adam shut the door without answering. Through the thin curtains, he watched them linger for a moment before heading back to their car. The helicopter's sound grew distant again, but his gut told him this wasn't over. When he returned to the basement, Lena was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, her satchel in her lap. She looked up at him, searching his face for answers. "They're gone," he said, though he wasn't sure for how long. Lena's voice was soft, almost reluctant. "My father is Elias Drevnik." The name landed between them like a weight. Adam didn't follow politics much, but even he knew that name. Drevnik wasn't just rich. He was a man who pulled strings across continents, whose influence reached governments, corporations, and media. He was the kind of man you didn't cross. "You're telling me," Adam said slowly, "that you're the daughter of one of the most powerful men in the world." She nodded, her eyes shining with something that wasn't pride. "And one of the most dangerous." He sat down on the cold floor across from her. "Why are you running from him?" Her fingers toyed with the strap of her satchel. "Because he's planning something. Something terrible. And I found proof. If he gets me back, I'll never see daylight again." Adam's gaze flicked to the bag. "That's what's in there, isn't it?" She didn't answer, but her silence was enough. He leaned back against the wall, exhaling slowly. This wasn't just trouble. This was a storm, and she had brought it right to his door. But when he looked at her, huddled in that dim basement, she didn't look like the daughter of a man who could buy cities. She just looked like a scared kid who'd run out of places to hide. And somehow, that made Adam more certain than ever. "All right," he said finally. "You can stay here tonight. But tomorrow, we figure out what's next." Her eyes met his, a flicker of hope breaking through the fear. Neither of them noticed Emily at the top of the basement stairs, listening silently, her small hands gripping the railing. The house was unnaturally quiet, the kind of quiet that hummed in your ears and made every creak of the floorboards sound like a gunshot. The rain outside had softened to a whisper, but the tension inside Adam's chest only grew heavier. Lena sat cross-legged on the basement floor, her satchel in front of her, as if she were guarding the last ember of a dying fire. Adam stood by the workbench, arms folded, watching her, not with suspicion anymore, but with the wary understanding that came from realizing the ground beneath them had already shifted. Emily had gone back to her room, but not before whispering to him, "She's nice, Daddy. Don't let them take her." Those words stayed with him now, like a quiet vow he hadn't meant to make, but couldn't ignore. Finally, Lena spoke. "I should leave before morning." Adam shook his head. "That's exactly what they're expecting. The moment you step outside, they'll have you. Her gaze dropped to the satchel. For the first time, she unzipped it. The faint rustle of papers filled the space, followed by the soft clink of a small metal drive. She pulled it out, her hands trembling slightly as if holding something alive and dangerous. "This," she whispered, "is everything. Names, bank accounts, plans. It's proof of what my father's been building, what he's about to unleash." Adam didn't ask how she got it. That detail almost didn't matter. What mattered was the weight of the thing in her palm, and the knowledge that if what she said was true, every man who had been outside his door tonight would be back with more. "You can't keep this here," Adam said. "If they find it, they won't." Her voice was steadier now, a strange resolve replacing the fear. "But I need someone who can get it out into the world before he destroys it. Before he destroys everything." Adam had never seen a child speak like that. Not a frightened runaway, but someone who'd already stepped over a line most adults never dared cross. Before he could answer, a low hum rolled through the night, followed by the crunch of tires on wet gravel. Adam's stomach dropped. Headlights cut across the living room wall. "They're back," he said sharply. Lena stood instantly, clutching the satchel. Adam moved fast, pulling her toward the narrow storage space behind the furnace. "Stay here. Don't come out unless I call you." The knock this time wasn't a knock. It was a fist against wood, deliberate and heavy. Adam opened the door just enough to see three men, the same suits, the same cold eyes. The one in front smiled thinly. "Mr. Hale," he said, "we believe you've made a mistake." "I told you before," Adam replied, voice even. "No girl here." The man's smile didn't falter. "You don't understand. You think you're protecting her. You're not. You're endangering yourself and your daughter." A flicker of anger sparked in Adam's chest. "Get off my property." That smile finally vanished. "Where is she?" In the silence that followed, Adam could hear the helicopter again, lower this time, the blades rattling the windows. His pulse thundered. He could stall them for another 30 seconds, maybe a minute, but not more. And then footsteps. Behind him, Lena stepped into the light of the doorway, the satchel slung across her body. Her chin was lifted, her face pale but steady. "Leave him alone," she said. The man in front regarded her like a predator finally spotting its prey. "Miss Drevnik, your father is worried." She didn't flinch. "Tell him he should be afraid instead." Adam's heart sank. She had just painted a target the size of the moon on herself, and by extension, him and Emily. But before the men could reach for her, Lena tossed the satchel into Adam's hands. "Don't let them have it," she said. It happened fast. One of the men lunged forward. Adam swung the door shut hard enough to rattle the frame, and in the same motion, he grabbed Lena's wrist and pulled her toward the back of the house. The world became a blur of shadows and adrenaline. Emily's small voice called out from the stairs, frightened, but Adam didn't have time to answer. The pounding of fists and the crack of splintering would fill the air as they burst out the back door into the rain-soaked night. The helicopter's beam swept over the yard, a blinding white that made the world stark and sharp. Adam pushed Lena ahead of him toward the tree-line behind the property. His lungs burned, his legs felt like stone, but the sound of boots behind them kept him moving. Branches whipped at their faces. The forest swallowed them in damp darkness. Somewhere behind, voices shouted, flashlights slicing through the night like hunting knives. They ran until Adam's breath came in ragged gasps. At last, he pulled Lena behind a fallen tree, crouching low. The satchel dug into his side like a reminder of the choice he'd just made. "They won't stop," she said quietly. Adam looked at her, at the mud on her face, the defiance in her eyes, and felt the strange, unshakable certainty that his life had just split in two. The part before tonight, and the part after. "Then neither will we," he said. She studied him for a moment, then nodded, almost like they had made a pact. Somewhere above, the helicopter's light moved on, and the forest swallowed them whole again. Hours later, when the rain had stopped and the first edge of dawn touched the sky, Adam finally dared to slow. They had put miles between themselves and the house, though he knew it wouldn't be enough for long. Lena sat beside him on a moss-covered rock, the satchel still pressed to her chest. "What's in there," Adam said, "is dangerous. But if you want it out, you're going to need help." Her voice was soft but steady. "Will you help me?" He thought of Emily's face, the life he'd built from the ruins of grief, the quiet safety he'd clung to, and realized it was already gone. The moment he'd opened his door to her, he'd stepped into a fight that wasn't his. And yet now it felt like it was. "Yes," he said. "I'll help you. She didn't smile, but something in her shoulders eased, as though for the first time in days she could breathe. In the distance, the faint hum of engines reminded him the chase was far from over. But now, the night didn't feel so heavy. Because the most powerful man in the world might be looking for his daughter. But she wasn't his anymore.